I just wanted to share a few thoughts and reflections about emotional energy and how we can start to make assessments on where we are and what emotional energy we have available to us based on our understanding and assessment of how we are relating to and communicating with our inner voice. And when I say inner voice, I'm really referring to the part or parts of yourself that you are in dialogue with, throughout your day, either on a conscious, active or subconscious level. The reference points that you have when you're trying to make decisions. What do I want to eat? Do I want to take up that social engagement? And usually I find a good indicator that my emotional energy is doesn't feel vitalized is when I find that the effort and energy required for me to either initiate that discussion or to hold a quality of listening, sensitive listening, empathetic listening space for myself and for the parts of myself that want to be heard and need to be expressed. When that feels effortful to initiate or it feels tiresome to maintain, that's usually an indicator that I have dipped quite low, that perhaps for a number of reasons that emotional energy has been used up through circumstance or just through not having enough time to reflect and to integrate. Or perhaps I'm in a process of problem solving or working through something and it's using a lot of emotional energy, so there doesn't feel that there's a reserve available. So for me, I would consider that to be in a kind of danger zone when I know that I have limited resource available for myself, because that means even the most basic questions related to self-care, it's challenging to meet those needs if there's not availability for oneself to really inquire and to be prepared to listen and respond and try and find ways to meet those needs through whatever tools and resources we have. So yes, I'm reflecting this back based on recent observations and have generally been flowing in a space where these kind of questions and reflections have been quite strong on my mind, and I've been introducing this framework of understanding into spaces to kind of test this out as well, and to kind of feel into making an assessment, say, before going into a situation where I know that emotional energy is required to sustain the space. And all I mean by that is, say, going into a specific environment where it's clear that you will need to be offering support in some way. That is an activity that requires significantly more emotional energy than just, say, your day-to-day interactions, because emotional energy is part of the human experience and what allows us to relate to each other. So we're always swimming in that space and we're always exploring that and using that, and hopefully in our different dynamics and places that we are moving through. We're receiving that as well. But it's just to kind of start to introduce the idea as part of what will be a bigger conversation at some point, to think about how we can set ourselves way markers and indicators so that we have an opportunity to take stock and reflect on, like, oh, where are my levels at the moment? How much emotional energy do I have overall? Am I ensuring that there's enough there for me to keep for myself, to ensure that my baseline doesn't drop below a certain point, so that is a priority in terms of a self-care approach, and that also it enables us to be fluid then to when we're asking the different elements of ourselves and checking in and trying to make an assessment of where we are, how we feel, if we're willing to share, if we feel that we have ample resource to share, and to extend that energy into social spaces. I am noticing and finding that if I have dropped below my baseline, making an informed decision about how best to use my energy and resource is not coming from a place of strength. So, for example, dropping below a baseline where I don't feel I'm well able to adequately hold a quality of listening space to myself that really is energized enough to, yes, meet the needs of the different parts that are being expressed. If someone then asks me, oh, would you like to attend this event and do this? For me to make a decision from that place is not making a decision from a strong place, I feel.